Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk. Thinking right out here in the lab. What did I do for you? I got something nice for you today. Let's get this party started. Get on my way. Excuse me. Right, as a 25 rule to live by. Storyteller, story with a message. Message in the story for life. I give life lessons. You tune in and receive them. We got a good day going. Let's rock. I appreciate you too. Right thinkers mission, and that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking's way of life, and that's what it is, through mental and spiritual discipline daily will help and guide you to attain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. That's my mission, and that all right thinkers do just that in the end. With my tutelage and my philosophical points of view, you can get to know yourself. The guy upstairs also, you find out who he is and who you are. You know yourself then. That's my goal, to get you to do just that. So the question, do you know you? If you're having issues with that, turn to your boy. I got you. That's a good lesson for you. Tune in. I got you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. You teach them. That's what I do. I do. You stay tuned. I appreciate you. I got you. A person who knows not and believes that they know dangers, avoid them. I do. A person who knows but knows not that they know is asleep spiritually. I'm the spiritual alarm clock. I'm here to wake you up with knowledge of self. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons, they reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself. To Maya, in truth. You know I worship Maya. Give her props. But today, we can talk about my other favorite female goddess. Right thinkers, let's talk about the cry of Aset. If you are spiritual life, if you are a devotee to your higher self, then you'll understand who Aset is. If you don't, let me break it down for you right quick and give you an understanding. And when you cry, he'll listen to you too. Okay? The title is called The Cry of Aset. This spiritual cry, this special cry is something that occurs at a much deeper level than the mind and senses can absorb. It's a intuitional, meaning internal, inside communion with the divine. When you go to prayer, you're talking to the divine. If you're not devoted, sincere, honest, he's not hearing you. He hears Aset. Why? Because she's devoted. Lock, stock, and barrel, 100% invested. And I got a little diagram here that you can use to understand intuition and its relation to the mind and the divine. The divine is here, the heart. The mind has to connect with the heart. I keep trying to explain to you, it's called the heart, mind coherence, mind, heart coherence, whatever you call it. But that means they're working together as one. Yin and the yang come together to make the whole. Male and female come together to procreate. Opposite, equal opposites come together to make a whole, 50 on this side, 50 on this side. Balance, duality, whatever you want to call it. But you got to understand, if you are a true devotee to your divine spirit, the supreme being, that's what we call him. That's divine. That's the highest level. In order to get there, there's a phase you got to go through. You start at the divine supreme self. Then you have intuitional knowledge, which Aset represents. You have to internally know God for yourself. I don't need to preach to you about God. No, that ain't gonna do you no good. You need to understand and know God for yourself. That's why I give my lessons, to teach you how to know God for yourself. The next one is intellect. Intellect is represented by The ibis-headed bird, they call him Tahuti. That's the mind of God, of the divine mind. That's what they call it. But it's yours also. So you got to manifest or master the art of thinking right, mindful thinking, logic, reasoning. So you don't get caught up in not using your discernment, not using your tahuti. All these are aspects of the character that you control once you learn and master them. The next one is mind and sense and emotions. That's your ego. The mind picks up what the five senses, what you smell, see, hear, taste, and touch. You function off of that. The mind don't get none of that. The body sends all that information to the mind, visually, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. So that's all physical. And the third level, that's all ego. That's what you identify yourself with, the physical body. We're more than our physical body. Next one is physical body and the physical senses, which is the five senses. The body functions off of that. The mind don't. It uses that to relay information to the mind, but the mind has a whole nother agenda that if you use it the way it's supposed to be, it'll get you to your higher self, aka God. Hence, know thyself. Now let me read to you the cry of Aset. Read the concept now from the book's concept. Right there, your mind. And listen. The cry of Aset is you crying out to God when you're in need. And watch this. Now, I'm going to give you a little breakdown of the story. In the Assyrian resurrection story, it is told that Aset cried out when what? Heru died. Yeah, I said it. Heru died. It didn't take him 3 days to come back to life. His mother, Aset, called the big boy. Stop the presses. My son need to be tended to. Felt that way when my old man took me to the VA when I cut my leg. He didn't care about nothing. Take care of my son. So he cried. He had to cry too. Okay. When your child is in need, a parent cries out for their higher. If you ain't in touch with your higher self, who you crying out to? Who you gonna call on? Who do you commune with? Who do you pray to? So who do you serve? If you're self-serving, you can't do nothing for yourself. Higher self is always better. And that this cry, watch this, was heard by Ra, and that all creation stopped. Stop the world. I want to get off. Stop the world. My son needs to be tended to. That's power. Okay. And you can have that. What was the nature of this cry? Could you ask? When a spiritual aspirant, you cry out to the divine with what? All your heart, mind, and body. The entire world as it comes to what? End. Nothing else exists except that situation you're involved in right then and there. The awareness, watch this, of the world fades when there is complete attention on the divine alone. And this stopping of the world, in effect, allows a person to discover the teachings which leads to resurrection and immortality, which Tahuti represents and brings directly from Ra. Thus, the task of every spiritual aspirant is to what? Develop such a devotion to an understanding of the divine, aka knowing thyself, as well as, listen, righteousness in life by what? Virtuous living in order to gain the power to call upon the divine when at any time in order to experience the bliss of immortality and the power to succeed in life. If you and God are connected personally, when you call, he will stop what he's doing and pay attention. That's the concept. But if you're not devoted to him, you're not doing things you're supposed to do, you call him, you ain't getting an answer. They tell me, oh, he might not answer in your time. If you ain't one of his, he ain't answer no time. Understand that. So only those understand this concept. Only those who have obtained, listen, purity of heart. How do you do that? I told you the fifth round of the chakra is what? Speaking makaru. The fourth is compassion, empathy for others. The fifth is speaking makaru, the truth from the heart. Okay? This is called upon, watch this. Only those who have obtained that purity of heart can call upon God and get an answer. Right thinkers, you putting yourself in a position to have direct connection so you can make the call and get an answer. That's the whole point about knowing thyself. You know you're connected to him. You're anointed with the knowledge of knowing you and God are one. And the divine, watch this. Now, in this manner, this is because only those who have eradicated the Satanian and negative traits of their character. These are the negative traits that a lot of us who are Satanian, egoistic people have. Anger, hatred, greed, hypocrisy, jealousy, self-importance, self-indulgence, selfishness, pleasure-seeking, etc. I can go on and on, but these are all negative Satanian, egoistic qualities that the person who have that, those are the qualities that you sustain and that you show. So it ain't what nobody say, it's what you do. Now, from the heart can be, excuse me, all those things is different. Okay, now the heart can be now the what? The divine in its true essence. If you got those things going on, you ain't never gonna know yourself. You ain't never gonna reach the divine. You ain't never gonna become spiritually awakened. You never reach the highs. Those are hindrance. Those are qualities that you have to eradicate within yourself. This cry, watch this, is not loud, wailing, ah, or a sound of pain. No, no, no. It's not even verbalization or mental thought. What is it? It is a much deeper process which can only, listen, be accomplished by the pure of heart. Good deeds, virtuous, righteous people, be you Christian, call yourself a Muslim, a Jew, a Hindu, don't make a difference if you're doing good deeds. If you're living a virtuous, righteous lifestyle, you will be blessed. Simple as that. You can call yourself Ishkabib, don't make a difference. But if you're doing God's will, being obedient to him, you will be rewarded with blessings that only suits you. My blessing, you can't get my blessing. No, no, no. Everybody's entitled to their own. So let me get this up. Oh man, I gotta get this done. How you go? Now let's understand that. Most people live life at a level of their what? Physical body. Here we go. Ego mind. Everything gotta be touched, felt, experienced. That's not always good. But that's what we do. You live the physical body, the mind, and your senses. They do not progress, listen, beyond this level to discover their intellectual capacity, meaning they're not thinking, they're not expanding, they're not getting smarter, they're not raising their conscious level. They're comfortable in that situation. And many of those who do discover their intellectual capacity, they also get caught up in their egoistic thought process when they get a little knowledge, they get the little degrees, they get the little doctor's paper, they get the little titles, and then their egoism causes them to what? Believe that they have achieved the heights of evolution. And they haven't. They just got papers and documents stating that they are doctorated in their education. And guess what? The boulets, I call them, they believe that intellectualism is the end all be all of mental pursuits, and that all there is to be known can be grasped by what? Intellectual capacity in the books. I got books everywhere. It ain't just about the book. I made that known. I made that point, and it's been proven. It ain't about what you read, what you learn in the book. It's about the experience. It's about the righteous deeds that you perform as you claim to be doing these things for people. And when you're not, watch this. This, of course, is erroneous concept. Again, y'all think because I got a doctor, I'm Dr. So-and-so, that you're supposed to be somebody. But that's an erroneous concept. Why? Because there is no responsibility for the mind to what? Encompass the divine, because you stuck on yourself. The ego don't want to raise its consciousness. It wants to stay and be worshipped as God, as the ego person who you let lead you to all this nonsense. Watch this. You will never encompass the divine and to know creation in its true essence. You never lift the veil of ignorance. For that, it is necessary to what? Go beyond the thinking mind and to expand your consciousness in order to encompass all. Watch this. Now, to become one with all. Hello. Everything's on the one. You got to raise your level to find that out for yourself. So therefore, only God can know all. Yeah, we got that. Watch this. But since God encompasses all, but those who attain that oneness with God, guess what? Can also know all. That's thyself. This is the goal of right thinking philosophy, aka wisdom of yoga. The highest knowledge is that God is the universe and at the same time the very essence of our heart. With this knowledge, right thinking philosophy, and advanced spiritual, you become an advanced spiritual aspirant can effortlessly, watch this, turn to the divine at your whim within him or herself at any moment, and the divine will stop the world, everything to what? Listen to such exalted personality as that who do his will. Sounds good, don't it? Now I'm about to take it home. I'm taking it home. Last page. So as a human being, evolves, they grow from being a gross personality, ignorant, living at the level of the lower self, egoism, and the Satanian qualities that they had to overcome to develop the mental capacity. The mental capacity develops into intellect, and your intellect blossoms into intuition. Now you get into Akashic record zone. You get into that rarefied air that only those who reach that level of opening up all the chakras get there. It's called Niha, spiritual enlightenment. Intuition, watch this. Intuition opens the door to spiritual realization, and spiritual realization is the source of all true knowledge. Once the third eye is open, once the veil of ignorance, once you know yourself and God are one, you have the opportunity to know everything you need to know, because now that 90% that we don't have access to, you do. Only open up the pineal gland, the third eye will make that happen. That's the spiritual knowledge that you have to have. Now, in fact, it is an absolute truth, complete and infinite and eternal. Wow, that which is known, listen, with the mind and senses is transient. This world is illusionary, it's incomplete, it's illusion. Absolute truth is what? Of self-knowledge is what allows a person to go where? Beyond the ego self and it never-ending desires. If you living for your ego, you're constantly desiring things, you constantly want things, you're never going to be satisfied. Relative knowledge of the mind and senses leads a person to what? His limitations, aka egoism. If it's not what? God, excuse me, if it's not understood to be only a means to what? Higher discovery. I obtain knowledge, I implement it to use it to raise my conscious level to be the best me I can be, aka preparing for greatness. That's what you want. Now, scientists, here you go, are in reality trying to what? Discover God through their science. Don't always work. However, if they see science as the end of knowledge, they will not discover God, but they will only discover their limitations. Their science will never be perfect. Why? Because it will always be limited. And intuitional knowledge, aka self-knowledge, is the fulfillment of all intellectual pursuits. Therefore, it is the process which brings true peace, aka hotep, and happiness, spiritual enlightenment to every human being who practices. Right, thinkers? That's your goal, to reach that level in life. Stay with your boy. I help you get there. I got all the information you need. All you got to do is follow. I got you. Pay attention. I'll be back. Appreciate you too.